But there is a guy that I'm going to speak about today, and I'm going to speak about him in a good way, only because he recently came on YouTube. Many of you who follow me know who he is. And I want to bring this up. It's amazing how many guys that were part of that life in some way, shape, or form are now for Trump. Because I grew up, my whole family, and I grew up, and just about every guy on the street that I know, we were all Democrats. And I've said this many times. The reason we were Democrats is because Republicans had the reputation of being tough on crime. Democrats did not. Democrats were easy to corrupt. That's the bottom line. I don't care who likes it, who gets offended by it. That's the truth. I have my own experiences. I talked about it. I'm not going to be redundant. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. All is very good, very blessed on this end. As always, I give God all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving for that. And tomorrow, little baby Jet Michael will be 1 week old. He's doing great, so is mom. Good looking kid, I gotta tell you. He's already got his Yankee stuff on. He's doing great. It's great because he carries my name. It's another Franzese. Some of you may like that. Some of you may say, oh, we need another guy. Anyway, it's great. And thank you for all the well wishes and congratulations I got for baby Jet. It really is, it's wonderful to get them all. We appreciate it very much. So thank you. This past week, I was in Iowa. I was speaking at the University of Iowa. I've done that a couple of times. I speak to a lot of universities, mostly the student athletes. We had a great time as usual, but this time, very unusual, I spoke to a class. It is a class there, and the title of the class, the course, is The Mob and the Movies. Imagine that. And the class is always filled up. When they offer it, if you don't sign up in the first half hour, you're not getting in. Amazing. So I went and addressed the class for about an hour and a half. The instructor, professor, is from Italy, and they teach all about the culture of the mob and the movies and all that. The kids had a blast. So did I. And I asked many of them, why did you sign up for this class? And they say, hey, it's an interesting part of history that we want to learn about. So again, on the heels of the last video I did, the fascination with the mob, it even goes to college students that really don't know that much about it. But it was great. We had a good time. Couple of things. I'm going to be at Caesars, 9/24. Saturday night, 9/24. Tickets are doing extremely well. Might be sold out, but you can still get some. We're going to have a great time. VIPs, get in the back room with me. We sign some books. We take some photographs. Going to be a Q&A. We're going to have a great time. And then in October, I'm going to be in Sydney and Melbourne, Australia. There's a link here for tickets. Very excited about that. I love Australia. We had a great time. I've been there in the past, and the tours always went well. So looking forward to that. I'm also going to be speaking at a church on, I believe, October 15th. We'll give you more information about that. It's great. Lastly, the Tyson deal. Remade Men, Mike Tyson and myself, we had to move it back to January. Why did we move it back? Because Mike is training that MMA fighter. They're fighting in Saudi Arabia. It's taken up a lot of his time. We get it. Mike is a busy guy, so we agreed to move it back. But it's written in stone. That's January 25th, the Beacon Theater in New York. Chaz Palminteri, my dear friend, he's going to be the MC involved. It's going to be a great night. Tickets were selling extremely well. If you bought your tickets, you can just have the option to move them to January 25th. If for any reason you can't make that, Madison Square Garden, who owns the Beacon, will give you a refund, but we're looking forward to it. And also next week, we are launching Champions Corner. You'll see it on social media. I'm going to be doing a whole video about it, explaining it. Very excited. We've been working on it, Mike and I, and my good friend Peter and Kurt, my whole team, for the past 8 months. And you're going to love this platform. It's going to be tremendous. We are going to be mentors to all of you, and we're very excited. Mike is excited about it. So am I. So is my whole team. We think it's going to be wonderful. We want to help young men and young ladies. Want to help you in your personal development. Want to help you in your careers, your business life. The whole theme of this is turning your adversity into an advantage. And Mike and I know a little bit about that. So, excited about all of this. What am I doing today? You know, I have a kind of a policy, and I think you all know that. We do tell mob stories, of course, but mostly stories of people that are not really around anymore, because the people that exist today, and many of them I do know who they are, they got their own issues going. I don't talk about people current day. I just don't. I don't think it's appropriate. They don't need that from me. I'm not looking to bring attention to anybody who may not want attention. It's just my policy. That's what I do. But there is a guy that I'm going to speak about today, and I'm going to speak about him in a good way, only because he recently came on YouTube. Many of you who follow me know who he is. His name is Joey Merlino. Nice guy, real deal, very well respected guy, and a guy that I've respected from afar. Now, I don't know Joey. He came after me. Everybody, you know, it's funny. I used to be the youngest guy among everybody. Now I'm just about the oldest guy, and I have mixed feelings about that. The good thing is I'm still here to talk about it, but the bad thing is I'm getting old, 72 years old. I don't feel it, but reality is it's 72. But Joey became more prominent back in the 90s, really, and he lives in Florida now, and he's enjoying his life. He went through a lot of stuff, but I recently watched his YouTube channel. He's just come on. He's talking about sports, and it was very interesting, very good, and I think people should tune in. I think you're going to like it. Joey's a very well-spoken guy, and I think you're going to enjoy his YouTube channel. So I tuned in when I heard that he was on, and I listened just to the first part of it, and it was amazing. He talked about an incident that he had a couple of years back in the 2020 election, where allegedly they said that he was fixing the election for Joe Biden. It was a big story. And the way he described it, he said he woke up one morning, his mom called him and said, "Hey, you're in trouble. What did you do? You fixed the election for Joe Biden." He didn't even know what they were talking about, and they made a whole big deal of it. And then what happened later on down in Florida, he happened to be at a gathering, I think a golf tournament or something, not a tournament, but a golf gathering where Donald Trump was. And he took a picture with Donald Trump, and oh man, they blew that up. Like, there's the mob and Donald Trump. And he says it right there. He said, Trump didn't know who I was. And he said, Trump was very courteous to everybody. He stops, he takes pictures. You don't even realize he's the president. Said he was very, very nice and cordial. And I've heard that from a lot of people. Trump takes the time out. He'll take pictures with you. He'll chat with you. Very outspoken, very, normal guy in that regard. Forgetting everything else, whether you like him or not. That's the reality. You got to, when the truth is the truth, you got to say it. So, but Joey was talking about how CNN blew it up and all this kind of stuff, and there was no truth to it whatsoever. And he says right then and there, he said, if I'd have tried to fix the election, I'd have fixed it for Trump, because he's a Trump supporter. And I want to bring this up. It's amazing how many, guys that were part of that life in some way, shape, or form are now for Trump. Because I grew up, my whole family, and I grew up, and just about every guy on the street that I know, we were all Democrats. And I've said this many times, the reason we were Democrats is because Republicans had the reputation of being tough on crime. Democrats did not. And also, Democrats were easy to corrupt. That's the bottom line. I don't care who likes it, who gets offended by it. That's the truth. I have my own experiences. I talked about it. I'm not going to be redundant. The guy that helped me get my licenses, for my gas operation, was a Democrat. We paid him. And I can talk about a lot of situations like that. What's the sense of going into it now? It's just the truth. Okay, it happens to be the truth. Republicans were tough on crime. And what do we see going on right now? Who's soft on crime? All of these Democrat cities, what's happening? Do you know that in LA right now, if you want to get toothpaste in certain places, it's behind the glass because people are coming in and ransacking the stores, stealing under $1,000, walking out, not getting in trouble. And it's true in Seattle, it's true in Portland. San Francisco is a dump right now. I don't care who gets offended. Nancy Pelosi made a statement recently that she's running for Congress again at 83 years old. Give me a break, because she needs people to understand San Francisco values. What a joke. And I'm not talking about the people there, but the leadership there, the place. It's terrible what's going on. Ask anybody. Seattle, Portland, Oakland, the same thing. These are all blue state cities, right? New York, come on. Philadelphia, come on. I mean, that's how it is, really. But Joey made a statement. He said, all of Philadelphia, they're not for Biden. They're like Trump, And look, I'm going to tell you this again. Again, please understand, I'm not in love with Donald Trump. I just believe his policies were good when he was the president. And if you're honest, whether you like him or not, compare his years to what's been going on in the past 2.5 years. That's it. But anyway, getting back to Joey Merlino, I think you're going to enjoy his podcast. He knows a lot, obviously, about sports. I don't know if he's going to talk about anything else. That's up to him. But welcome aboard, Joey. I hope you do well. And maybe when I'm down in Florida, we'll get to say hello one day. So, today, sometimes I just want to share some things that are on my mind, people. I feel kind of kindred with this audience. A lot of you have been supporting me for a long time. How do I know that? Because I do read some of the comments. I don't get to all of them, obviously, but I try to sneak in there every once in a while and see the comments. And most of them are very, very complimentary. And you've been with me a long time, and I appreciate that. And I like to share my thoughts, And when you have a platform, people, if you don't voice your opinion when things are troubling you, then what good are you? And I always say this, to those who have been given much, much is expected in return. I've been extremely blessed, people. A lot of times when I take the stage, I tell people, take a good look at me. I'm one of the most fortunate ones, one of the most blessed people that's ever going to address you about anything, because had I followed the path that I was on initially, I could have been dead or in prison for the rest of my life. I happen to be extremely blessed through all the challenges and all the struggles that I've went through, extremely blessed, and I don't credit myself for that. I didn't know how things were going to work out, but God had his hand in this, no doubt about it. As far as I know, my experience, it's all about God have a different plan and a purpose for me. So when I see things, that are troublesome, I want to share them with you. And some people say, Michael, stay out of politics. It's not your lane. Well, you know what? This is not about politics. Again, I say this. This is about issues that are affecting our very lives. And whether it be Republican or Democrat, I'm down on all of government, and so is everybody else. If you look at the polls, it's not about Democrat or Republican. People are just down on Congress, down on the White House, down on a lot of our candidates. It's just the way it is because they're not doing the job. America is struggling right now. They're not doing the job. And as a result of that, people are really struggling. I talk to people all the time because I travel quite a bit. People are really struggling. Inflation is through the roof. Gas prices are on the rise again. Out here in California, $6 plus a gallon. How can people handle that? People that are just a normal salary, how do you handle that? Things at the grocery store are twice what they were before. It's dangerous in some places to walk out in the street. This is not politics. These are issues that affect your daily lives. And I want to tell you something. I've been asked a lot about, Joe Biden and the stuff with Hunter Biden and all of this stuff. Look, you're in complete denial. Complete denial. I look at some of these Democratic politicians that are defending Joe Biden. They're saying there is no smoking gun. I'm telling you this, people. I've had 3 RICO indictments, 2 federal racketeering indictments, 1 state RICO indictment from the state of Florida. I am very familiar with the statute. I had to defend them several times. Took me years. I sat in a courtroom forever. I understand the statute. I know it. I also understand the way our criminal justice system works. And I am telling you right now, the Democrats that are saying there is no evidence against Joe Biden are just not being honest. They're not being honest with you. These allegations are evidence. When you have whistleblowers talking, when you have text messages, when you have bank accounts where $20 million has gone through shell companies, these shell companies, they have no brick and mortar operation. They have no product that they're selling, okay? They have no employees. They're just there to collect money. Well, what service are they performing? And why is money going to different family members? Of course, Hunter Biden, who had no skill whatsoever, to be involved with any of these companies that he's soliciting money from, just be honest. He was, in a way, peddling his father's influence, who was the vice president. He was doing it. So now we're saying, well, where's the connection between Joe Biden and Hunter Biden? Well, do you think Joe Biden didn't know what Hunter was doing? Of course he did. People, just use common sense. Common sense. Don't let your hatred of Donald Trump blind you to what's really going on. And let's put it out there. Donald Trump has 4 indictments. I didn't read the indictments. I don't know what they're all about. I understand I shouldn't say that. I understand what they're about. I don't know if he's innocent or guilty. He may go to trial and he may be found to be guilty. But you have to understand, Joe Biden and his Justice Department are definitely weaponizing law enforcement to go after Donald Trump because he is a political enemy. So let's say he gets convicted. Put him out of the picture for a moment. You have a president in the United States that quite possibly can be accused and be guilty of peddling his office. That's treasonous. Because remember, Communist China, the Ukraine, these are communist countries that he might have been dealing with, that he was dealing with. It's a matter of fact. So this investigation, we should at least be entitled to know what's going on. They're stonewalling it. This impeachment hearing, it's there to get information so that we can see what really went on. Now, the polls are starting to turn against Biden because the information that's coming out is damaging, it is damning. And I believe, me personally, I don't believe he's going to run for president. I think something's going to happen. He's going to have to drop out because people are turning against him, because of the information that's coming out. And because, look, you got to be honest. Mentally, he's not capable anymore. He's really not. All you have to do is watch him. If this was your grandfather or your father, you'd be saying the same thing. You would be. And it doesn't matter that he's Republican or Democrat or anything else. We have to call it as we see it. You got to call it as you see it, people, and it's unfolding right before our very eyes. This is a mess. We have one candidate, that's in the lead, that's got 4 indictments pending. We have another one that has a very serious investigation going on, serious allegations. He's in the office. We got this country just, in a way, is falling apart. And I'm concerned for my children and my grandchildren and the future of this country. So what am I saying in the end? All I'm saying is this, look, just pay attention. Don't be biased in any way. Let the evidence go where it leads you and make a determination with respect to that. Don't let your bias come in. Don't let your hatred of either candidate come in. Watch the information. Pray that it comes out the right way and that we do see the truth. We do see the truth. That's what we hope for here. So, this is not a lengthy discussion that I'm going to have. I have some people coming on that I'm going to have this discussion with, and hopefully more of this gets out. And my only reason for doing this is because I feel responsible to at least let you understand where I stand, because I'm here for the truth. I really am. And it's not about Donald Trump being the president again. I'll say it. I thought he was a good president. I thought his policies were great. I thought he cared about America. Listen, the guy comes into office. He doesn't take a salary, and probably lost a lot of money in his personal business while he was president. Okay, he did it. People say he's narcissistic. He's got an ego. He's okay, fine. Was he a good president? Yes or no? That's all we care about. And let me give you this last bit of information. Look at the blue states, what's happening now with immigration, with these migrants coming in. New York, they're complaining. We're going to go bankrupt. Well, you voted for this. You're a sanctuary city state. What's the problem now? You know what gets me? There's only one reason for this, people. There's only one reason that these migrants are coming across like this, because the Democrats want to turn the state of Texas blue. If Texas goes blue, California, Texas, and New York, there will never again, ever again be another Republican president. That's the truth. This is all about power, maintaining control and power. And that's why these cities are struggling. New York is struggling. All these cities, Chicago, they're struggling because these migrants are coming in. And now in the blue states, they're starting to complain. But you know what gets me? Why don't they go to the source and complain? Why don't they go to Washington and say, Biden, stop it right now. Don't let these people come across anymore. And if you want to blame Congress for not having immigration laws, great. Blame Congress because they are to blame. But shut the border until they come up with a right, policy. Because you can't keep this up. You cannot keep this up. This country is in dire straits. I read the other day, that I believe it was somebody from ISIS. They found that. They tried to keep this quiet. Was letting people from ISIS-related people, I think, don't quote me, but something to that, terrorist-related people were coming into the country, okay? And they tried to keep it under wraps. They didn't want anybody to know about it, but they found out. I mean, this is what's happening. There's 14 million migrants have come into this country in the last several years. And we don't know who they are. So we have to stop this, whether it be a Republican or a Democrat, whoever. We need somebody to come into office and see these problems and put a stop to it for the purpose of helping this nation. And I will tell you this, I'm going to make a bold statement, and I know I'm going to get, some slack for it. I have more respect for guys on the street than I do people in government. Okay, why? Because guys on the street didn't pretend to be, we weren't elected to help out this country. We weren't elected to protect America. We weren't elected to work for the benefit of people. We didn't make campaign promises. We were who we were. And you know what? A lot of guys on the street had a lot more respect than people in office. Republican and Democrat. I'm going both sides. All right? We have to clean house. We've got to get the right people in office. We have to have term limits. Mr. McConnell, what are you doing? You're not healthy. You're in your 80s. You're a multimillionaire. Go home with your grandchildren and relax. Nancy Pelosi, the same thing. But you can't let go of the power. I know what it is, people. I was on the street. I understand it. They are just gluttons for power, and they can't let it go. Well, they should. We should have term limits. We should let these people at a certain age take the mental acuity test and get them out when they're not right. They got to go. Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. That's it right now. I mean, believe me, I could go on, but this is not the time. So we're going to let it go for now. And please understand what I'm saying. This is not Republican or Democrat. This is not Trump or whatever. This is just a search for the truth. And I hope in this, this impeachment inquiry, as they call it, that enough comes out to show the truth. And hey, if Biden is innocent, he's innocent. But we deserve to know. We put this guy in office, I believe, under false pretenses. And you know what? The polling is backing me up right now. People are thinking the same thing. Let the process happen and let's see where it goes. So that's it for today, my friends, except for the fact that we have a couple of questions that I promised to answer, and I think we have two of them. All right, good question. Do I think that so many people are fascinated with the mob genre because they were never inside of it, they never experienced it? The answer to that is yes. I do believe that, A lot of people that unfortunately did experience it were not fascinated by it. They were scared of it and maybe turned off of it, yes. And there were people that had a good experience with it. But I think overall, most people are fascinated. Why? You see the money, you see the power, you see the respect, you see the clothing, you see the different lifestyle, and it is attractive. I get it. But if you were on the wrong side of that, and if you experienced it in the wrong way, like people unfortunately did, you wouldn't be fascinated by it. You would be probably disgusted with it. This is an interesting one. Do I believe that John Hancock could have been the first mobster because he was involved in, illicit smuggling and things like that? The answer is yes. I mean, he obviously couldn't be a made guy because he wasn't Italian. But, there were a lot of guys that in government that, believe me, would make good mobsters. There's no question about it, And listen, there is such a fine line between mafia, guys on the street, and the government. Trust me when I tell you that, people. I know, come on, it's the truth. You know what? Money and power is intoxicating. Do you know that I learned that 75% of people in Congress have shell corporations? What are they for? What are they hiding? Many of them come out of Delaware. What do you need a shell corporation for? Let me ask you this. Why do they never want to leave office? They're in office 20, 30, 40 years. You know what? I'm 72 years old. If I could just retire and spend the rest of my days with my grandchildren, I would love to do that. I've done a lot in my life, okay? A lot. Now, I feel a responsibility that I have to do certain things, but I love my leisure time. I don't need people catering to me every minute. I have my family, But these people never want to leave office. They never have enough. Do you know that Nancy Pelosi is worth probably $400 or $500 million? She's 83 years old. She's telling me she feels a responsibility to help Give me a break. What has that woman done for this nation? How come you don't go home and just relax with your family and enjoy life, travel, do what you didn't do while you were in office? I don't get it. I really don't. But I do understand this. It's all about power and money. That's it. That's what drives people in government now. It's about power and money. and getting the perks that they get. I visited Washington. You got to see the perks that these people have. They don't even have to go out in the rain. I mean, and that's, believe me when I tell you, they don't want to give it up. They all become wealthy when they come into office, every single one of them, with the exception of Trump. Trump gave up his salary. You have to say that. It's the truth. Whether you like him or not, it's the truth. He didn't become wealthy in office. He was wealthy when he got in. He lost money being president. He didn't care. But they all become wealthy. How is that happening? They come in, what do they get? The Congress, I think, get $175,000 a year. That's not a lot of money, not in today's day. But they're all AOC, from what I understand. Okay, she was living from house to house until she got her first salary, $175,000, her first paycheck, rather, from the government. Now I understand she's worth a couple of $1 million. How did that happen? Explain that. How did it happen? The same way I asked Hunter Biden, Tell me what that money was for. Just tell us, President Biden, tell us what the money was for, or have your son do it. Why is there suspicious bank accounts, bank records, the bank account? Just tell us what it was for, and maybe we'll shut up. Explain it. Why did the money go to your family? Just explain it. And maybe this all ends, but you can't. That's it for today, my friends. How do I always leave you? Same way. Be safe, be healthy. God bless each and every one of you, and God bless and help America. Yes, I'll see you next time.